Hi, this is Mike Hendrickson from Velocity 2018 in San Jose. I'm here with Kresten from Humio. How you doing?
Fine, thanks.
So Humio,
Yeah.
what do you guys do?
Well, we do log analytics. So basically, we built a piece of software that you can run either in our cloud, use our cloud, or you can run it yourself. And basically, you send your logs there, and then you can search them, or you can pull data out of them and graph it and build dashboards for your operations team, DevOps teams, do incident response, basically searching into it. So that kind of feedback loop with the logs that come out of your systems.
So can I just use grep on my own logs, or do you guys have something you've added to this to make it a little better?
Sure. I mean, at the core, Humio is very much a grep on steroids, right? But if you're running a complex system, so what's happening is today, of course, with microservices and cloud and distributed systems, your systems are running on tens, hundreds, thousands of computers, and it's not really feasible to run grep across 1,000 machines, right? So you bring all the logs together in one place and store them so you can really efficiently grep them, right? That's the core of it. But then once you've grepped something or found something, you can also select, like, I want this piece of information, and say I want to build a time chart over that, or histogram, or pie charts, and whatnot. And then that's really informative for dev team or some kind of operations team to sit there and say, is that normal? Does that look normal?
So do you find some of the stories in the data too, or do you find the anomalies and the patterns, or is that for the user to visualize and then find for themselves?
Well, typically there'll be some people who built these dashboards, right? And then a lot more people who use them, right? So you can use it as a way to build a report, but instead of building like a PDF report, you just build a live report where you can just send your boss a link and say, go look at, this is what it looks like right now. So there's different kinds of users. But the interesting thing is, because once you build a dashboard, as soon as you click on something, you end up in the search field where you can just refine the search yourself. So it's once you have something up and running, it's easy for developers to kind of dive into the logs themselves, and it's a surprising experience when you have easy access to the logs, and often that feedback loop that ends up happening is that people realize it's really easy, and then they add some more logs to the system, and then you go look for them, and you can get easily built like ad hoc little metrics or extra things that you get out of how the system works, right?
So if I have a bunch of logs and I send them to you guys, you make them accessible for me.
Yes.
And if I build them into a dashboard and then I send you more logs, does it update? Is it like a real-time?
Sure. That's one of the big differentiators from our competitors is that these dashboards are truly live. So where most of products in this space basically take in the logs and then put them in a database, building indexes, and then the dashboard part is a question of every 30 seconds or every minute you go run a query and update the dashboard, right?
Yep.
So what we do is basically a streaming query mechanism, right? Where for all the dashboard components, they become part of the ingest pipeline. So they maintain a real-time view of a time window of what some computation is, the number of errors over the last 5 minutes for a simple thing, or what does the time chart look like for something over the last 24 days, whatnot. And that's kept in memory. So the dashboards are really truly live. And that also means the alerting mechanism is truly live, right? So that's one part that's different. The other part that's different is we don't build those indexes. So in a typical, say, a database-based logging solution, you take in, say, a terabyte of data and put it in a normal database, that bloats to like between 5 and 10 terabytes because the indexes are bigger than the original data. That's kind of a typical time-space trade-off you do, that you bloat the data to make it fast to search it. And they need that because every 30 seconds there's a new query coming in. Now we just get away with all that and just compute it kind of in memory and flow as a streaming query on the way in, and we just save all the events, compress them and save all the events. So the 1 terabyte of data that you push in turns into 100 megabytes. So that's a tenth, whereas a typical database thing is like 5 to 10x bigger.
Bigger, right.
So you can easily get in a situation where you only need a 50th of the disk storage. Lots of these things add up to reduce the complexity of the system. That means it's easier to operate. There's less data to move around, to back up.
Does Humio require someone who thinks in a DevOps way? I mean, do regular organizations that don't think about that use a tool like Humio?
Sure. Typical organizations, there's a couple different ways to look at it, right? There's people who want a point solution. They want to say, well, we have access logs from a web server, and we just want some pre-built dashboards that show us everything about this, and we don't want to care about it. That's typically not our kind of customer, right? We want people who want to tinker with it a little bit. So our typical customer has some people who want to tinker, and then a lot more users who just want to use the dashboards. But definitely, it's like selling Excel. Like imagine you're selling a spreadsheet Excel, right? We provide something, it doesn't have any data in it and no functions, but as soon as you put some interesting data in it and build some functions, other people can use that.
And then the tinkerers will use pivot tables and lookup tables.
Exactly,
and all that, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you were to look at Humio in the market right now and say, where you are, where do you want to be in 6 months? And then where do you want to be a year from now?
So what we're seeing in the marketplace is all the interesting customers are on-prem customers. So this was really built for
running in their own
organization. Right, so these are like financials, it's healthcare,
protective
environment, right?
Regulated maybe.
And that's kind of where we came from. Admittedly, more from a DevOps perspective, but so what we're seeing now is these organizations and high volume data, because it turns out the big differentiator for us is on-prem and high volume, and that's what we're struggling with. You could say now that's our challenge now is as a small company. The really interesting customers that could really use this are huge enterprises, right? So we're learning how to navigate huge enterprises, how to sell to them, all this. So I'd be super happy to have 6 months from now, we have 15, 20 large enterprise customers. We're talking to a lot, but there's lots of interesting challenges in going there. So,
and what is a large enterprise customer like?
It's a big bank that you would know the name of, or big financial institutions, big
manufacturer of 310,000 people.
Typically, the ones that are interested now are tech savvy customers. So it'd be large internet enterprises, cloud companies.
But so companies that are in this world doing a digital transformation,
that too, yeah.
Shouldn't people in that category be interested in Humio?
Sure. I mean, there's a couple of big banks that are doing their own internal platform for like running Kubernetes and having individual teams being able to kind of pull these services in. So in that case, Humio is an ideal thing that you get a full multi-tenant solution that they can run and service to their internal customers. So yes.
And so you guys run with pretty much any stack that someone has?
Sure.
As long as there's a log file?
As long as there's a log file, yeah. And
And any kind of log file?
Any kind of log file, yeah. You write some regular expressions or there's different ways of kind of getting the data in. And that's of course one of the challenges also is people have all kinds of different log files. And that's part where you have to do some manual work to make sure all the different kinds of data. So yeah, so in 6 months, I'd be really happy to have 10, 15, 20 large enterprise customers. I don't know. That's as far as I can see
So
right now.
yeah, 6 months is easier to see, but
Yeah.
12 months is like, where is the whole log file industry going to be in a year from now?
There is, I don't know where it's going to be. How would I know?
AI going to have a role in there, maybe?
It's a limited role. There's something that you could, all this AI and machine learning, it needs a sprinkle of domain knowledge. That's one of the things we've learned,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So you can't just apply it like
Yep.
blindly.
Humans in the loop.
So another area where we're actually having a big uptake is security, like network security monitoring, security operations of various kinds, and I could easily imagine some machine learning being used there, right? So we're actually already using, some of our customers are using our APIs to pull out the data again, filtered, and like putting it through some Python scripts of their own. But you need domain knowledge to be able to apply any machine learning, really. And that's, maybe we'll have a branch, a Humio security branch that does have a lot of security domain knowledge, and that would be a reasonable place to also put some machine learning in. Yeah, I could easily see that happening in a year, right?
Excellent. Well, Kresten, we look forward to watching you guys on your journey.
Oh, thank you.